Hey everyone, I'm here today with my co-host Suzanne Fox, and we're here with Billy Grisack. He has an amazing plant-based story he's going to share with us. He's had to deal with heart disease over the years, and he's also a musician. I first became aware of him on Chef AJ's show, and we became Facebook friends after that. And I know he's very inspiring with his story. So Billy, if you can just give us a quick introduction before we begin.
Okay, well, my name is Billy Grisack, and it's
Oh, I
pronounced.
said your name wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's like it's weird because it's Grisack,
Yeah,
but the S is pronounced like a Z, so it's just weird,
I see.
Sade, it's like Grisack, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm originally from the East Coast, from New Jersey, Philadelphia area, and been a full-time musician now for 52 years. That's what I've been doing my entire life, traveling pretty much this side of the planet Earth. I've been all over north of Mexico, all the way up to the North Pole, out to Greenland. So the only place I haven't been is Hawaii. So if anybody has any bookings there, call me. Love to play Hawaii. And I started life out as a big overweight child. And my mom was like a little 90-pound woman. And I was like an 11 or 12-pound baby, so I wasn't going to come out the original opening. And I just kind of ended up being a big boy most of my life. And for reasons, I ended up with lots and lots of different ailments and diseases and problems, like literally from birth. And they didn't get any better as my diet and lifestyle didn't get any better. And then traveling on the road for 20 or 30 years nonstop doesn't help either. There's not a lot of healthy choices in the middle of Peoria, Illinois at 2 in the morning. I just kind of muddled through. In high school, I was probably about 200 pounds. By the time I was in my mid 20s, I was 300 and some pounds.
How
Uh,
tall are you, by the way?
what's that?
How tall are you?
5'5".
Okay. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's very heavy, especially for somebody 5'5".
Right. And actually, I topped out about 10 years ago at over 420 pounds. We're not sure exactly how heavy I got because I couldn't find any scales to weigh myself. But the last scale I got was 420. And so yeah, so that was that. So I ended up at one point um being really sick. So I was really, really big. I was on 23 prescription medications plus insulin injections. Um, which is really interesting though. I've always been very active, even when I was big, being an entertainer. So I wasn't like the guy that just sat on the couch and didn't do anything. And a lot of people never really understood how I was able to do so many things and be so big and so sick. And I still don't either, to be honest with you. I
Right.
just I just did. It's like bumblebees aren't supposed to be able to fly scientifically, and 400-pound guitar players aren't supposed to be able to go out and do 6 shows a week. But I was doing it. But finally, it all came crashing down when I ended up finding out that like all my arteries were all blocked, and so then I had quintuple heart bypass surgery because of that. We can
Hey,
get more into that later. I'll tell you the details about that.
Well,
yeah.
how
And
old were you
actually,
when it happened?
I'm sorry,
How old were you when you had the quintuple bicep bypass?
50.
50. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's
Um,
really funny. Like most of my life, like when I was 20 years old, I had doctors telling me I'm not going to live to be 30. Then at 30, they said
uh,
you're going to live to be 40. 40, well, I'm 63 now, and I'm still here. And honestly, I feel better than I've ever felt. I feel like I'm 25 or 35 again, which is really amazing. But we can talk more about that later.
yeah.
So, in a nutshell, I managed to find someone that basically turned her life around and fixed her heart problems through reading Dr. Esselson's How to Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease book,
Yeah.
and then everything changed from there. So the last 10 years I've been going in a different direction. In the last 5 years I've been pretty devout about it, except for a couple of bouts of cancer, which we can talk about that too. So I've beaten
Yeah.
cancer twice, And I believe that my lifestyle and diet is the reason why I'm doing as well as I am. So anyway, that's pretty much my life story. I live in Wisconsin now with my wife, and my son is my drummer. And my late daughter was also my drummer and a musician. We've been in the music business since 1917.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah.
Really
So
cool.
ask me things and tell me what I can tell you.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to when you first were diagnosed with heart disease. Was it a heart attack that led you to find out, or you just went to the doctor and it did tests?
Yeah, well, actually, what happened was I started having problems breathing, and it got to the point where like going to shows was really difficult, playing was really difficult. I was getting out of breath singing, and in particular, I remember one night when I tried to just walk from my car to my apartment, which wasn't far, and I could only get halfway there, and I just about blacked out, and I felt like an elephant was on my chest. But they got me in to see the doctors, the cardiologist or whatever, and I hadn't had a heart attack yet, but they were like, "You're going to, and it's going to be a bad one, so we need to go in there and do this." And then they did the quintuple bypass. Now, having said that, in retrospect, I'm kind of sad because when I had, because I'm a chronic Facebook poster, as you know,
Yeah.
and do you think 20 or 30 posts a day is obsessive? I don't know.
No.
But anyway, someone reached out to me, and I wish I knew who it was. So if you're watching this right now, and if it was you, please contact me. But somebody reached out to me when I said I need open heart surgery. I had somebody reach out and said, "No, you don't." They said, "Dude, change your diet," and basically they explained a plant-based lifestyle to me. But I was scared. I was in pain. I was told I was going to die. I was told this was the only thing I could do. And so I got to listen to my doctor. I can't listen to somebody that reached out on Facebook and said eat kale and you won't need an operation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in retrospect, I don't know how bad I really was. Like if maybe if I had started then, I might have been able to avoid the bypass surgery. Maybe not. I don't know how bad it really was.
Right.
Uh, but I got it done. And but then I got a funny story to tell you about after the surgery. But go on, next question, please.
Yeah, Suzanne?
Yeah, well, I mean, tell us about that. What was your funny story that happened after the surgery?
Well, here's the thing, okay? So so after the surgery, this is what they told me. So I had five blockages. They replaced them all, and they said, "Was that?"
That's pretty serious. All five of your arteries. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was checking out. I mean, there's about 3 times that I should not be here. So, whether you believe or not, it's like I just came to the conclusion God's not done with me. So I'm just kind of rolling with it and trying to do the best I can in life and trying to help people. And things like this are great. So thank you for letting me share. But here's the thing about contemporary standard Western medicine and doctors and stuff, and you guys know this, is that it's about procedures and stuff, and the nutrition aspect, they don't really pay attention to that. So here's what they told me, and you'll appreciate this. They said, "Okay, you got your heart surgery done, now you're good. So for a while, a lot of people don't really have an appetite, so eat whatever you want." You
Oh
don't
my
tell that
God.
to a food addict.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So here's
Yeah.
the deal. For the next 3 months after my heart surgery, and I'm embarrassed to say this, so I hope people don't turn me off right now, but for the next 3 months, I literally lived on pizza and donuts
Wow.
because I
But you
love
didn't know any
pizza.
better, so yeah.
They told me, eat what you want. We rather you eat than not eat, but they didn't realize that I'm a food addict, and the things that taste good to me weren't necessarily good for me. And to be honest with you, so literally for 3 months, donuts and pizza, that's all I would eat. And then here's what's really interesting is that not once with that procedure, now later it was different, but with that particular procedure, they never gave me like a nutrition class or said, you should be eating this, you should avoid this. They never said anything about plant-based diets. They still technically don't, and I can talk about that in a minute. But so the thing was, I had the surgery done, and my heart was better, and And so like I kind of went about business as it was before. And then I started gaining weight again because at that point I was probably only like 375 only, and I hadn't reached the 450 yet. So I actually reached the 420 rather after the heart surgery. Okay. So I went back to business as usual with that. And that's probably, if anything, I like to get across to people is, what you put in is going to make a big difference about how your health goes. Again, that's what the show is
Yeah.
about. But
Yeah.
just because your doctor says it, your doctor might not be educated in this, is what I'm finding out. And I've come to find out doctors only get, like, if we're lucky, maybe a week or two of nutritional education as it is.
It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my first situation, and I survived that, and I'm happy to have done that, and that was really great. And then here's what happened at 420. I was at my wife's birthday party. We went to the steakhouse in Wyoming, and everybody's ordering everything. And there's this guy sitting next to me that was the husband of a friend of my wife's. And I said, "Oh, this stuff looks really good here. We'll get whatever." He goes, "Oh, there's nothing I can eat here." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, I don't eat any of that stuff. I don't eat meat." I'm like, "What do you mean you don't eat meat?" So I don't eat it. And well, here, have this. Oh, that's got oil in it. I can't have oil. And then so we started having a conversation about his heart attack. I don't remember if he had a bypass or stents or something. But then he had found the Dr. Esselstyn book, and we start talking about it. And we kind of became friends. And I was so sick and I couldn't move. And I mean, I couldn't breathe again. I was really concerned. I was headed for heart surgery again. And I promised myself I would never have my chest cracked open again. I mean, I
I
told
don't
my
blame
wife,
you.
this
I
day,
don't blame you at all.
yeah, I told my wife, and this is still our standing order. It's like, at this point, if they want to crack my chest open, it's like, let's just call it a day. I had a good life. I just never want to go through that again. So
Wow.
yes, I mean, it was that bad. It's I highly recommend nobody does that. I mean, if it'll save your life right now, right this minute, great. But there's other ways, folks. There are totally other ways. And I wish I had started sooner. So I got the book, and my wife and I really dug into it. And I just went no oil, no animal products, no processed food. And for the most part, I've been staying that way. I've had a few slips, and we could talk about those too. And
I'd like to
slipping,
back up a little though. When
yeah.
you started, before you started the transition, before you read the book, what did you think about his concept of plant-based eating? Did you think it's crazy or it's not going to work, or what were your thoughts? What was going through your head at the time?
Well, really, I was open to anything that wasn't surgical,
Mhm.
and I saw the results with another person. I think that's important.
Yeah,
It's one thing for you to see people or read a book and say, do this, do that, and the other thing, but when you personally know people, which is kind of the position I'm in right now, like I have many friends that I'm mentoring locally right now because they're in similar situations that I was in, and they see what I do and they're reaching out to me
yeah.
for advice. And although I'm not a doctor, I can definitely give them my life experiences with it. So what did I think? It sounded radical, but what's more radical, eating a radish or having your chest cut open?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely,
You
definitely.
know? So here's what happened. I got that book, and I was devout with it. Now, I do want to say something that I would like to get back to is I've never been a person to exercise. I don't enjoy walking. I don't do exercise. I'm not a sports guy. I play guitar, I sing, I play drums. That's what I do. And there's some exercise involved in that, setting up, tearing down. But the next thing I'm going to say is, so I went on the Esselstyn plan, followed it as close to the letter as we possibly could. And within, I think it was 6 months or so, I was off half of my prescription meds. So that was a big thing.
Wow.
And I had lost 60 pounds, and I did not do one lick of exercise. So I know exercise and movement's important, and I do know that now. But that was what I was able to accomplish in the first 6 to 8 months without really doing much else. Okay. And then as I got more and more into it, I started discovering the other doctors and other people that live this lifestyle, teach this lifestyle. And I really got into Dr. McDougall who I love, of course, Dr. Bernard, Chef AJ, and really start digging in. And now my wife has become kind of a savant of creating plant-based recipes that are just amazing, and which we share with people and stuff and try to help them. But she keeps me alive. I mean, I'm very lucky that I have somebody with me that not only was willing to do it with me, but was willing to do whatever it took to help try to keep me alive and healthy. So my hat's off to Mrs. Billy. I wouldn't be here without her. Honestly, it's support.
Does she also follow the plant-based diet?
For the most part. She actually is a little bit more vegetarian than vegan, plant-based, but her rule of thumb, more or less, is like plant-based at home and vegetarian when she goes out to eat, because it's still kind of hard to do that. So she understands how important it would be to cut out the other things, but she's not totally ready to commit, and that's fine. She knows what she's doing, and she keeps me alive, and she encourages other people. And I'd say actually maybe she probably is 80% the same as I am. So
Great.
80% is better than 0%.
Right.
True.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you share specific changes that you've noticed in your health markers after going plant-based?
Yeah. So I did this for my heart, and that was the reason why I did it, period. I just didn't want to have myself cut open again. The first thing within the first year was I went again from 23 meds and insulin down to maybe 6 or 7 and no insulin. The big thing that really blew my mind, and this is one thing I talked to a lot of my friends about, is how the diabetes like went away. I mean, my diabetes was so bad. My A1C was through the roof, and I was going blind. I was losing the feeling in my legs. It was bad. And within a year, my eyeglass prescription changed for the better. I don't have
mine too.
Yeah,
I wear
right.
contacts, and mine actually got better.
Yeah, I just like they look cool. I probably don't need them, but you know, I like cool glasses. You know,
Kind of reminds me of Elton John's glasses.
What was that?
Anyway, I say it kind of reminds me of Elton John's glasses a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Actually, it's inspired by a chef named Graham Elliott. I love Graham Elliott's glasses, and like he sells his own versions, and they're like $1,000. And I found this online company that does the same thing for like 10% of that. So I'm very happy. But anyway, yeah. So the diabetes like literally went away. I mean, it's gone. So a lot of people say you can't reverse or eliminate diabetes, and what I say,
I've heard that too. But I know it's possible.
in fact, I had a friend over yesterday. When I said, "Oh, I've reversed my diabetes," he goes, "No, it's not. You still have it. You just need to stay on your diet." And I'm like, "Well, you know what that's like? That's like I just cut myself here, and when that cut heals, it's like saying, well, you're still cut there.
Exactly.
Cut it again, it's going to bleed again." You know what I mean?
I love that analogy. I got to remember that. That's great.
But and it's like anything else, like any diet or any habit, you know, as long as you do it, you'll be fine. As if you don't and you go back to doing what you do before, you're going to get those results. So yeah, I could easily have diabetes again, but I currently don't, you know. So I've gone down to a pretty normal blood sugar level, pretty normal A1C level. I don't know what the numbers are off the top of my head. Got off the insulin altogether. Also, I got off statins. No more statins.
Nice job.
I blame oatmeal for that and greens.
Good.
You know, I can't say enough about oatmeal. That changed.
That's my favorite. I love it.
Love it. And then I got off my high blood pressure medicines. I am on a few meds because of other issues that I can't seem to get them to agree to let me off of yet. But I'm down to 3 from 23.
That's
really
awesome.
amazing. That's really amazing. You're doing a great job. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, you know, so I'm pretty happy about that. Now, here's what happened to me though. So when I said I've had some setbacks, and I'd like to address setbacks with the audience here, is, you know, we're all going to have instances where we're going to have setbacks, or we can't do it for whatever reason. Things happen. So here's what happened to me. I did really well Oh, and then after I lost my first 60 or 80 pounds, I kind of plateaued out. And just as far as weight loss went, I kind of transitioned to the McDougall program, and I became the Mars guy. I call it going to Mars. So what I would do is I would do nothing but eat potatoes, like Andrew from Spudfit, you know.
Yes. Yep.
And then for like literally like a month or two or three, I would just do this potato thing. And that's what got me over the hump. So that's how I lost, like went from losing like 80 pounds to losing 120 pounds. So, and that blows people's minds. It's like I say,
It
I'm
does.
losing so much weight. I'm like, I'm eating nothing but potatoes, or oh, that won't work for me. If I eat potatoes, I'm gonna look like a potato.
That was
And
not true.
I actually did that challenge about 4 years ago. I don't know if many people remember that, but I did blog about it. I did potatoes for 1 month, and I felt great. I loved it.
absolutely. And crazy thing was when I did the potatoes, I was losing like 4 or 5 pounds a week. I mean,
Wow.
it was insane how much weight I was losing just eating potatoes. But the trick
Wow.
is you gotta cut out the oil, you gotta cut out the salt, you gotta cut out the butter, the sour cream. When people
Yep.
think potatoes as being a weight gaining or an unhealthy food, it's not the potato, it's the stuff we put on the potatoes or the way we
100%. Yep.
and a word to anybody that is going to do potatoes and you're going out to eat, be careful, because a lot of places that will give you a baked potato, a plain baked potato, they actually rub their potatoes in bacon fat and or oil, olive oil, before they bake them. So if you're trying to
Wow, I
be
never heard
no
that.
oil or animal free, uh, and I don't know if you want me to mention particular restaurants, but there are several major ones that, and then I looked on the menu and even said down at the bottom, note, we rub our potatoes in bacon grease. So if you're stuck going out and you want to eat and the only thing on the menu is a baked potato, sadly, you're going to have to ask them if they put anything on it before they bake it. It's
Yeah, I
a lot of
never
people don't
thought
know
about
that.
that. Yeah, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now for the bad news.
Yeah. Well,
So
actually,
after,
though, yeah.
okay.
Well, I wanted to hear about your cancer diagnosis, but you go first.
Well, it's all going to lead. It's all a journey. So if
Yeah.
I'll kind of be, it's kind of linear. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you like everything that happened. So shortly after I finally got all of my crap together, my daughter died, and she was 17, and she had a genetic disease called Turner syndrome, and we always thought there was a possibility she could die young, but she had just gotten uh, the green light from her cardiologist. Said, "Okay, you're good. You'll be okay now." And 3 months later, she dropped dead. Her heart just stopped. So
Oh,
that totally blew me off the rails.
of
And so,
course.
like, you know, I kind of went back to being a little bad. Now, the interesting thing was I never went back to eating meat, but like I was starting to eat pizza and stuff again, you know. And then I noticed my weight was going up, my blood pressure was going up, my blood sugars were going up, and so it took me a while to get off that train. And then as soon as I again take 2 steps forward, get knocked back a little bit, then I noticed this bruise under my arm and this boil on my back. And for 3 months, it was causing me all kinds of pain, and it was getting worse and worse and worse. None of the doctors knew what it was. Finally, and I was begging for pain medicine. They wouldn't give them to me because I'm a musician, and we all do drugs, so can't do that. So, but I'm in so much pain, and nobody knew what was going on. So finally, one night I went to the emergency room and I begged them to kill me. I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. I said, doctors won't give me anything for this. I don't know. And they did a bunch of testing, and they realized I had cancer, which I had probably had for a long time. So
Wow.
this happened before the whole food plant-based stuff, but it was in there.
What kind of cancer was it?
Well, that's an interesting question. I'm glad you asked. Nobody knew for a long time. It was suggested that it was a neuroendocrine or a nerve sheath or something like that. And it just turned up like a really weird place for what it was. It had markers of lung cancer, and nobody really could figure out what it was really. So they took their best guess, and they didn't want to operate on it because it was all in my lymph nodes at the time. So I found a wonderful doctor that treated it with chemo, which I wasn't crazy about, radiation, which I also wasn't crazy about, and finally immunotherapy, and that seemed to knock it out. So After all those treatments, I was deemed cancer-free. Yay. And then I got, back on the horse after that and started eating right. One of the worst things about when you go to the hospitals is what they feed you in the hospital. I mean,
To eat. There's nothing to eat.
yeah, and what they serve in the cafeteria, especially at the cancer
Trash.
hospital, it's really
Trash.
shitty. It's like, yeah, everything that they're serving at the cancer center is the stuff that gave everybody the cancer in the first
Yeah,
place.
exactly.
It's like they're paying. They're just making their own customers. It's horrible. It's
Absolutely.
horrible.
And then my favorite story about that is when I go to the hospital and I say, okay, so the best way to describe it is I'm a vegan, because they plant-based, they don't get vegetarian, they kind of get. So, but this is really funny. So I say I'm a vegan. They bring up my first book. Okay, here's your vegan eggs and cheese. I'm like, and these are dietitians that are supposed to know this stuff. And I said, no, 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 no. I don't eat meat, and I prefer not to have oil. And then the next meal they set me up. Okay, we got it now. You're vegan. So here's your roasted chicken. I'm like, can I talk to the dietitian, please? Could you send them up? And this is a true story, and it's really sad, and this puts it all into perspective. The hospital dietitian comes up to me and says, okay, I know you have some special needs. Could you tell me what exactly a vegan is?
Oh, wow.
God forbid I had to explain plant-based, no salt, no oil.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So
Incredible.
that was horrible. So then once we got the cancer going and everything, I got back on my potatoes and I lost all the weight I gained, and life was good. Everything was happy. Things are going super well. And then recently, they found the cancer again last year. And at the same time, they also found out that my aortic heart valve was shot. And the reason the heart valve was shot, even though I eat a good heart healthy diet, was because all the radiation and chemo had destroyed my heart valve. So, poison in, poison out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I needed the poison to cure my cancer, supposedly.
You did. Yep.
Which I got again. So whatever. But the kind of cancer I have now, they have kind of figured out that it actually started out as a skin cancer, and it's somehow got into my system, and now it's kind of there like herpes. So now we just kind of got to keep watching for it, and hopefully the foods I'm eating are doing a good job of killing future occurrences of that. So I've beat cancer twice. This time, the first time was on my back, then it was under my arm. Last time it actually made its way into my colon, so I actually had to have a pretty
that's scary. Yeah,
it was a bad one. And then, but the problem was my heart was so bad that again I got back to that same thing. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't walk up the stairs. I couldn't do anything. But they couldn't replace my heart valve until they got the cancer out, because you can't have a you can't have a cancer operation after you do the heart valve. I mean, it was crazy. So for about a year, I was living on the edge. So good news. Back on the horse, feeling great. Heart's fixed. Cancer's gone. Diabetes is gone. I'm on my way to being under 300 pounds for the first time since the mid 90s.
That's a big win.
Yeah.
And you look really healthy now. You look great.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And also, like, I wasn't planning on doing any shows or playing out in public this year. I figured I would take the year off for recovering, but I'm a year ahead of schedule on my recovery. So I said, I just have all this energy. I don't know what to do with myself, because now I have oxygen. I'm eating right. Yeah. And now listen, it's a guy that never went to the gym. I've been actually going 5 days a week.
Wow.
To the gym.
And
I've been putting in an average of 200 minutes a week for the last month.
Great job.
Feel better than I've ever felt. And I just booked like 30 shows for the rest of the year. So Billy's back, and I'm here to tell you, man, like, it's never, ever, ever too late to turn it around, man. I mean, I'm 63 now. I don't think I look 63. Do I look 63?
No, you don't.
No. Absolutely.
And yeah. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell, but I can answer more specific questions if you guys got them.
Yeah, I do have one. And then I'm sure Suzanne has a few questions as well, but I'd like to talk about the difference between your first heart surgery and the second, like how you felt during the second one after the surgery because you were already plant-based at that point. Was it much easier recovery, do you think?
Yeah, well, the first thing was the first one they totally crack you open. The second one they just put a valve replacement in, so it's basically like a giant stent, and they were able
Oh,
to
I
go
see.
through.
Okay.
So they went up through my leg, and then they put it in, and bam! Now here's what's really amazing: was prior to the surgery, the day of the surgery, I couldn't walk from the door of the hospital to the emergency room or wherever the operating room. I just couldn't walk that far. 8 hours after the heart valve surgery, I was up and walking and I wasn't out of breath at all. And now the doctors that know what I do for my lifestyle and my diet are literally blown away by how fast my recovery has been. I mean, I bounced back 2 weeks. I was like bouncing off the walls and ready to go out and do shows and start walking and exercising, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sad that I needed it because of the other things that caused it, but even I guess what I'd like to say to people is if you're in a situation where you need a heart valve replacement or you need open heart surgery, and I mean it's life threatening, because even Dr. McDougall and those guys and Dr. Estlin say, sometimes you need stitches, sometimes you need a band-aid, but it shouldn't be the first line of defense, right?
Right.
So, like, it's like, oh, you have a heart problem, so we're going to put you on statins, and we're going to do a stent, we're going to do open heart surgery before you even suggest a whole food plant-based diet.
Exactly.
Insane
Yeah,
to me.
exactly. Yeah.
So but I'm here to tell you, I mean, like I said, look at me, it's like I'm a whole new guy, and I'm ready to tackle the world. I mean, I was told, a couple years ago, just get your affairs in order, go home and die, and now I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really amazing. Yeah, you look fantastic. I'm sure you're full of energy. How long after that first surgery was it before you decided to go plant-based?
Let's see, I had the surgery in June. My wife's birthday's in November, so what, June, July, August, September, October, November, 5 or 6 months.
Okay. All right. I was just curious about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and major, that was like a really big deal though. Even and I actually had the pleasure of going to one of Dr. Esselstyn's immersions.
Wow.
I went
Oh,
to
nice.
Yeah, I went to Cleveland and met him and his wife and his daughter, spent the whole day there, and it was really nice to have that one-on-one. That guy is amazing. I mean,
Yes.
I emailed him one time when I was like freaking out about stuff, and like he called me on the phone, doesn't know me from Adam, and he goes, "Oh, this is Dr. Esselstyn, let's talk." So I've been on the phone with him several times, and I went to his immersion, and it was like absolutely fantastic. It was so
Yeah,
cool.
he's something, and he's what, 89 or something.
He's 90 now, I think.
He's riding his bicycle around and stuff, and
Yep.
just
Well, him and Colin Campbell are just like freaks of nature, man. They're just a crazy.
well, they're not. They're just plant-based guys. That's the natural course of existence in plant-based world. That's where we're all headed. That's what happens.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Results.
Dr. Furman says that the natural lifespan is like 105, 107, Dr. Furman thinks, if he right.
Yeah.
I just watched an amazing special docuseries on Netflix, the How to Live to Be 100. Have you watched that yet?
On that.
No, I haven't.
The Blue Zones one. If you get a chance,
I wanted to. Yeah.
it is amazing how vibrant and full of life these they call them centenarians.
Centenarian.
Over 100 people, the stuff that they're doing. I mean, they're walking miles a day. They're bending over. They're getting up from the ground. I mean, it's amazing. And then when you examine why they're doing that, plant-based is a huge part of it. Now, a lot of them aren't 100% plant-based, but but there's no processed food in their life, and there's lots of movement in their life.
Right. Right.
And also there's a lot of community in their life. And that's another thing I was trying to say with having my wife being so positive now, and then plus getting to mentor people and having opportunities like this. Community and support, man. If you need the community, you need support, you need the right diet, you need to move. I didn't do the movement for a long time, and now I'm really starting to see the benefit of that. It's really, that's changing my life now.
Isn't that amazing? I know that for me, like when I first started going to the gym and like actually working out, it's amazing. Just stepping up on things is so much easier. Just reaching up and getting things so much easier. And you just don't even realize what you're missing because you just hadn't been doing that part, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing
Exactly.
too is I have degenerative arthritis in my back. And for a while there, I was having a hard time playing bass guitar because my bass is really heavy and I couldn't stand and have it on me. And just from doing all the exercising now and all the core work I'm doing, I have no problem. First, for starters, I've been sitting and playing for last few years. I
Yeah.
stand up and play all night now, and I'm wearing heavy instruments again, and my back doesn't hurt.
That's
So
awesome.
weird.
it's so amazing. It's just,
It is.
it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. And you can't even express to people what a difference this whole situation makes. It is day and night. It really is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is.
But the
It is.
problem is, like, there's three things that I've noticed, and maybe this will be helpful to somebody out there. Number one, it's like the old thing, you can't tell kids not to stick beans in their ears. A lot of times, sadly, you kind of have to make the mistakes yourself. Like, I had somebody reach out to me and say, don't get the surgery, let's get you on this plant-based diet, you'll be fine. And I said, no way, because I wasn't ready to hear that. Okay. So sadly, I had to go through all this pain, all this anguish, and I didn't have to. So sadly, unless the person's ready to hear the information, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you can't make people do things, and you also can't preach at people. I mean, what I'm finding is you kind of need to be there for them and lead by example, which is kind of what I'm doing. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
The other, and then I forgot the other two things I was going to say. Oh, but that's a biggie, and I think it's really important again to just, show, don't tell, a lot of
Yep.
times is really what it is. And I'll probably remember the other two things at some point. So when I remember them, I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I
cool,
would like to
too.
leave it with this. I have a two-part question.
Sure.
What advice do you have for those that are thinking about going plant-based? And the other one I'd like to know is what Billy eats in a day, what
Sure.
your diet looks like.
Sure. Well, your first question actually reminded me of my second point, so this is
Okay.
great. Here's the thing, the other thing too that's a problem is you can't just take things away. If you take things away and don't replace it with something, you will fail. That's a fact.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like anytime it's like, well, I can't eat that anymore, or I can't do that anymore. Well, my doctor told me I can't do this. Well, what are you going to use to replace it? So for me, the secret was finding, and I think this is the secret for everybody, and I'll give you an example of what I've been doing with my people I'm mentoring, is the secret is you have to, every time you take a food away, you have to replace it with something you like just as much, if not more, than the thing you took away. I've been very lucky, and my wife has been really excellent with that. It's like, okay, so we don't eat, hamburgers anymore. What are we going to use to do that? And my favorite food in the world, by the way, my entire life was tuna sub sandwiches with provolone cheese and bacon. And at this point in my life, I can't even look at one. I can't even smell it. It kind of grosses me out. But I've replaced it with my chickpea salad recipes, and I'm still eating, tuna subs, egg salad subs, chicken subs, salad subs, and sandwiches. But they're just not made with animal proteins, nor are they using oil. So,
Yep.
but I love them just as much. We're making pizza without cheese and oil that I love just as much. And a lot of the recipes she's come up with, like I'm in love with her cabbage roll casserole. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. And her eggplant parmesan. So the thing is, as long as you're replacing it, like you don't feel like you're being deprived is really the trick.
Exactly. Yeah.
So advice wise is number one, make sure that you're eating stuff that you love. You like, for one thing, and I'm sorry, everybody out there, I hate kale. I won't eat kale. I apologize. Please don't tell Rip, okay? Please don't tell Kale University I'm not eating kale. Chef AJ's tried to get me on it. I mean, I just can't do it. Kale's not my thing. And that's cool. So many choices, right? That's the thing. And that's the thing. Guess what? We've replaced 5 dead animals and oil with 1,000 different things we can eat now, right?
Exactly.
So anyway, and then the other thing, the other advice I have is keep it as simple as possible. And this is something that I got from Dr. McDougall, especially, is breakfast and lunch is pretty much always the same. Keep it simple. Just this is what you wear. Be Steve Jobs in his tank top, his turtleneck, just right. So breakfast and lunch, there's like, I have two things with a couple of alternates that I just do all the time. And I'll tell you that when I get to what Bill eats in a day. And then dinners is where we kind of rotate and or snacks. So that's my advice. Find things you love. And there's probably things you're eating right now that don't have animal products in them and don't have oil in them. You probably don't know it. And so let's start there, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that a great
That's
idea?
true. That's a good point. Yeah.
And then start finding the things that you used to like and find new ways to make them that are compliant to your new lifestyle and your new diet and your whole new life, so that's good too.
Yeah.
And keep it simple. So yeah, what does Billy eat in a day? So my diet basically revolves around this. I usually start every day with one of two things. So my breakfast and lunches are interchangeable right now. So I either have the what I call the power oatmeal that we make, my wife came up with, and it's kind of based on Gregor's Daily Dozen. So it's oatmeal cooked in water, obviously, and then it has the things like the turmeric in it, and all the cinnamon, different things, the antioxidant berries, and all that is in there. So it's a big bowl of it's a big bowl of medicine that tastes delicious. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's my breakfast, or it's my lunch. And my wife is actually making these amazing, my favorite breakfast in the world, these amazing breakfast scrambles. So she's doing tofu as eggs, and she creates like this plant-based, no oil sausage blend and green chili sauce, and puts it in a compliant wrap and fries it up with no oil and makes it crispy. And it's the best thing you've ever eaten in your life.
Oh,
So
that sounds really good.
I'm going to feed you guys that.
That sounds great, actually.
And then sometimes I'll have that for lunch. So I kind of alternate between the two. And if I'm out in the day and if I have my breakfast scramble in the morning, then what I do is we make these muffins, and I can send you the recipe, no oil banana oat muffins. And that's my bowl of oatmeal. So I'll take it with me and I'll eat that for lunch or a snack. So I still get my oatmeal every day. So it's really important to me that I take my statins every day, eating my bowl of oatmeal, right? Or my
best statins in the world.
best statins in the world. If you combine that with some leafy greens with some balsamic on it, like during the day, I mean, blood thinner statins, I mean, you probably won't need them. I don't think. I'm not a doctor, but from personal experience,
Yeah.
Dinners. So dinners, what we do is my wife and I usually make 3 things a week roughly, and then we'll have it twice. So and then we have one day that's whatever. And so like say she'll make the cabbage roll casserole, or the eggplant parmesan, or curry, potato power curry. That's like a McDougall recipe. Or whole grain pasta, and we'll make it so that we have 2 dinners worth, but we actually make 4, and then the other 2 servings we put in a freezer for when we can't cook. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not really eating as many potatoes as I used to right now, but I don't fear starch like other people do. Like that really bums me out when I see people on a lot of the groups I belong to, and they're like, well, the people's advice to them is, oh, we got to cut out all the potatoes and the rice. And I'm like, no.
I know.
So and I do eat a lot of rice. So the dinners vary with a lot of different things. That's where the variety comes in. And snacks is usually things like fruit, the oatmeal muffins, or oatmeal cookies, which my wife has this great 2 or 3 ingredient cookie. It's literally like oatmeal and bananas, or oatmeal and applesauce, and if you want to throw a fruit in it, that makes a cookie. That's all you need. You don't need anything else.
Exactly.
And so snacks. And then she also makes these amazing potato chips and different crunchy things for us with no oil. We use air fryers and microwaves and stuff to achieve that. And I'll tell you one thing that's a secret nobody knows about this. If you ever try it, so great. She just started making radish chips, and oh my gosh, if you take radishes, slice them up, and you bake them or air fry them, and they come out, you put maybe, if you do salt, you do a little salt, that's fine. You don't, that's fine. Or Mrs. Dash, These things with no seasoning taste like sour cream and onion potato chips, man.
What?
I gotta try that. I gotta
Yeah.
try them.
So radish chips, man. It's a secret.
What kind of
Nobody
spice
does
does she
that.
use on it?
What's that?
What kind of spice does she put on that?
Just a little bit of salt.
That's it, huh?
That's it.
I gotta
Wow.
try that.
First time I ate it, I was like, "You got to be kidding me! This is like a sour cream potato chip, man. No dairy, no other seasonings.
I
It's
gotta
amazing.
try that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try that. Yeah, I'm gonna try that.
Definitely. So those are the things. And then here's what I've been doing lately. It's one thing to tell people, "Oh, this food tastes good," but it's another thing for them to believe it. And then even if they go to like a vegan restaurant or something, God, I've never had food that's so drenched in oil as when I went to vegan restaurants.
No, it's really
It's the
sad.
greasiest, oiliest stuff I've ever had in my life.
Horrible.
So yeah, but so here's what I've been doing lately. Like when I have a couple of friends that are in really bad shape, like they're heading for bypass surgery, and one's heading for like dying from diabetes, and they look at me and they're like, Billy, what are you doing? You're turning all this around. My doctor told me I can't turn this around, but you did. So what I've been doing lately is I've been doing a little outreach where like we have all this food in the freezer that my wife makes. So what I do now is I get like little tasting cups. They'll get like a half dozen different things. I'll put them in the tasting cups, and I'll bring them over to their house and I'll say, look, try this. Tell me if you like it. And 9 times out of 10, they're just blown away. And the one guy, it seems like he's doing much better now. He actually restocked his refrigerator with all whole food, plant-based food, and it seems like he's doing a lot better. And so maybe
I'd love to hear that.
yeah.
That's
So
great.
if you have the means, like if somebody reaches out and doesn't believe it, sometimes you have to show them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that makes sense.
Unfortunately, in this platform, I can't reach out and hand you my recipe right now, but maybe somebody that can. But that's something I would recommend to anybody that's watching that's already living the lifestyle, and you have friends that are struggling. Give them an opportunity. Another thing I do is when I go to parties and potlucks, I always
Yeah.
bring vegan dishes,
Yeah.
plant-based dishes.
Yeah, I do that as well.
I do that too.
And
Yeah.
I don't tell them. I just say, here's my thing. And the funniest thing was we went to my friend's birthday party, and I brought this giant whole grain macaroni salad. And we said, well, we'll take back what's not eaten. And we went to take it back, and they're like, no, we love that. And like it was already gone by the time I got there, and they had no idea it was plant-based. Same thing with like my guacamole and stuff and different things. It's like I have lots of things I could bring to parties that blow people away, and they have no idea that it's no oil, plant-based. So sneak
Yeah,
it.
that's a great thing. Yeah, that's how you got to do it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Questions? What you got?
I don't have any other questions. Suzanne, do you?
I don't think I do either. Yeah, this has been really awesome talking to you though.
But one thing I would like to ask Billy, if you could send us that banana muffin recipe, the no bake thing, I would love to put that as a link on the video.
Be a good idea. Yeah.
Are we doing any editing on this, or is this what it is? Are we live?
No.
Well, it's not live, but I mean,
Okay.
I could make edits if you want.
No. But I mean, do you want me to send you a couple of before and after pictures and stuff?
Oh, that
That'd
would
be
be awesome if you can. Yeah,
Yeah, because
definitely.
I mean, it's really pretty amazing when you see the A/B stuff with me. Hold on a second, just show you something real quick here. What am I doing? Albums, Chef AJ. Like for instance, I mean, like this was, I don't know if you'll be able to see this real, but I mean that's what
Yeah,
I
wow.
and then when
Yeah.
you like see me like pictures like this, you could actually see the real difference,
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
I'll send you a couple of those if you want to.
That
That would be
I
great.
think you've lost 20 years off of your face.
I do too. Yeah,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
so.
Oh yeah, it's really funny. My son and I, we have our main band is called Big and Tall. I'm big, he's tall. We're big and tall.
Okay,
And
love it.
what's really funny, he's got like a big bushy beard and really long hair. And we have this shtick we do, and we go like, "Hey, this is a family band, and can you guess how we're related? We get brothers, cousins, stepbrothers, best
Nice.
friends. Never get father and son. And when I say we're father and son, nobody believes us. So it must be doing something right. My son's really funny. He goes, man, you look really good, or I look really bad. I'm not really sure.
Oh,
But
that's great.
yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that I could recommend. If you are interested, though, if anybody wants to reach me or contact me, it's just my name, Billy Grisack, GRISACK.com, BillyGrisack.com, or bigandtallband.com, or MrBilly.com. They all go to the same place. I have a one-page website if you want to reach out. If anybody wants any of my wife's or I's recipes, or even just has questions about doing this, you have my permission to share my contact information. I'm very transparent, and anything I can do to help people to not suffer and to live their best life, man, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Awesome.
That's great. I love your story. It really does.
Yeah.
Very inspiring.
Me
And
too.
yeah, I know our audience is going to appreciate that too. So yeah, I'll be on the lookout for your photos, and yeah, I think we're good to go.
Sounds great. So I have a show tonight, so I'm gonna go get my equipment together, and we're gonna go rock the house, and
Sure.
yay.
Okay. Yeah, have fun.